29th, 2005. Over 600,000 households displaced. Over 1 million homes destroyed. 80% of an entire city underwater, with $108 billion in total estimated damage. 1,833 people dead. Known as the costliest natural disaster in US history, Hurricane Katrina is an example of what happens when government officials ignore academic research. 3 years before Katrina hit, however, the city's main newspaper devoted several days of coverage to a series called Washing Away. Reporters warned that officials were tempting fate by failing to address the weaknesses of the levees meant to protect New Orleans, and that it was only a matter of time before South Louisiana took a hit from a major hurricane. The costs of the academic policy gap are catastrophic. Our homes, communities, things and people we cherish can be destroyed when academics overlook research. 1,833 people could be here with us today had policymakers heeded the warnings and researchers continued to sound the alarm leading up to the hurricane. But there's a very important group missing from this conversation, though, and that's people like you and me, who are people like you and me. We fund research. We pay billions of dollars in taxpayers for research. And researchers are struggling to get their work before policymakers, who are in turn making decisions on our behalf, decisions that are misinformed, costly, and clearly deadly. Now, I believe one solution to this policy gap are blogs, who have both a direct and an indirect impact. Blogs are a dynamic, breathing community, a living forum, and it has the power to bridge the gap. The first point on direct. You see, if more researchers publish their blogs on research on their blogs and that are credible, easy to understand, and widely circulated, then greater the chances of those blogs ending up on policy circles. There are many reasons why academics should blog. First, blogs allow you to take the jargon and translate it into something that everyone can understand. This isn't a new idea, though. In 2008, the Huffington Post published an article titled "Why Academics Should Blog." And their essential argument was that the reason people don't read academic journals is because it's laden with terminology that's really difficult to comprehend. 2, blogs allow you to condense your research into smaller posts that are easy to digest. I'll get to the goldfish. There was an interesting study done by Microsoft that found that with the rise of smartphones, the human attention span is smaller than that of a goldfish, which can retain words for 9 seconds, and humans can now retain it for 8. 3, blogs allow you to reach a wider audience beyond academia. 4, they create what experts call a virtual staff room, where conversations can take place. You can exchange your ideas, get instant feedback, even get inspired for new ideas. And 5, blogs are visually appealing. Think about the power of images and video. Multimedia can connect with us in ways that text and words can. Now, luckily, some blogs are already making their way into the policy community. But today I'd like to talk to you about 2 of them. First, Fletcher's very own professor of international politics, Daniel Drezner, used to maintain a blog on foreign policy from 2009 to 2014. He now blogs for the Washington Post. And those of you who were here for the debate last week, you could see he's an avid tweeter too. But he said that the reason he started blogging was because no one was taking his op-ed pieces. This isn't surprising because newspapers are limited in space, and they're often looking for catchy headlines. Now, his work is making real impact in policy because once a month, he gets policy experts emailing him for his own expertise. He says blogs for him are a sketch pad, where he not only gives ideas, but gets inspired from them as well. The second example is the War on the Rocks. Now, this site functions as a blog, and on this blog, there are debates, analyses, commentary, and pieces on foreign policy and national security. This blog is actually a perfect example of researchers talking directly with policymakers. For example, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter last year contributed a podcast to this blog. And retired General David Barno continues to write semi-weekly pieces. So you can see the blogs can have a direct impact in policymaking. You just need more of them. Now to my second point, the indirect impact. Through people, all of us, who on the one hand fund research, and on the other hand, expect policymakers to make informed decisions on our behalf. You see, blogs can make research available widely. They can awaken the masses and get democracy to knock on Congress's doors. Why? Because they're free. Now, when making this long-term investment, academics should keep one particular group in mind, and that's the millennials. You see, we grew up with technology. Technology is part of our DNA. We get news from Facebook feeds, not newspapers. We turn to Twitter for what's trending in the world. We inundate others with our glamorous lives on Snapchat and Instagram. We save ideas for our dream wedding on Pinterest. These underlying trends of how we consume information through short bursts of images, GIFs, memes, and videos, it's effortless for us, right? It's as natural as breathing. Now, as a millennial and an avid blogger myself, I can attest to the power of blogs. I started blogging in summer of 2010 when I went back to my birth country, Pakistan, to teach English and math. Initially, I saw blogs as a way to keep in touch with my family and friends so I didn't have to write multiple emails. I was trying to be efficient. But over time, I fell in love with this idea of a dedicated online community of readers and this rich journal of experiences that I could refer back to. Now, I'm not an academic, so my intended audience was never policymakers. But I'll share an example of how my work reached beyond just my targeted audience. Last year, I was teaching English in Turkey, and I maintained a blog again for the same audience, my family and friends. But as I traveled to different places, I found people from around the world, travelers and tourists from Russia, China, Latin America, Europe, writing to me, asking me about some of the places I had visited or recommendations on hostels that I had stayed at. So you can see that blogs can have an indirect impact as well, and they can reach an audience beyond your intended audience. So all of this is to say that academics should continue to publish their work in books and academic journals, but they should take it a step further. Make your research available on a dynamic forum. Have it reach for larger audiences. Let's think back to the story of Hurricane Katrina for a moment. How did our policymakers not see the catastrophe coming? It wasn't as if there wasn't research done on the topic. Newspapers warned us about an entire city being washed away. So next time disaster strikes us, takes our homes from us, destroys our livelihoods, kills our families, we can't afford to scratch our heads and wonder what went wrong. And maybe having your research on blogs can prevent us from doing that. So academics, start blogging. Thank you.
Thanks very much.